Going into Midnight, I decided to change my entire UI for raid leading and Mythic Plus. With all the add-ons being changed and removed and reworked, I thought this was a be good time to go through why I made these changes and why it works for me. First, you may be asking, there's a black bar at the bottom, how does that work? There's an add-on called Midnight Viewport, which you can add, margins to top, bottom. You can completely disable this if you wanted to, but it helps me have a little bit extra space at the bottom for my raid frames, and allows me to see a little bit further on the edges of my screen, which kind of acts as a widescreen monitor. So that's pretty nice to have extra visuals around me. To get that to work, like I said, Midnight Viewport, and there's also another add-on called Dynamic Cam, which kind of helps change the pitch. So with the viewport turned off, it basically looks like this, and the camera is pitched a little bit awkward. So this is basically back to default Blizzard, but with the viewport and Dynamic Cam, you can basically make it look like default Blizzard with the camera and everything. But Dynamic Cam might be useful as well in other situations if you wanted to change your pitch, your zoom speed, other items like that. For me, I just changed vertical pitch here to 0.55. Details just reskins the damage meter. There's not a ton of options that it's providing. There's just damage and healing and interrupts. I don't think, maybe I'll start tracking interrupts as well. But outside of that, I'll be mostly using the combat text and Warcraft logs to determine some of these other items that we used to have. For my abilities and action bars, I'm using ArcUI. ArcUI is a pretty nice wrapper on cooldown manager. There's other items as well, but basically I just have 3 groups: buffs, essential, and utility. Obviously utilities like my totems. Defensive is movement, essential is my essential casts, and buffs is what buffs I'm tracking. Might add more to there later, but for now I'm keeping it pretty simple. For unit frames, I'm using Unhalted unit frames. That's just for target of target, focus, boss frames. It's pretty good. But also if you just want to use default, that's totally fine. I also am using Leatrix Plus, which is kind of like a friendly add-on to move your tooltip around. I also put move anything, so my tooltip kind of renders above my details meters, so that's kind of nice too if I target over like a spell or something while I'm in raid. But otherwise, when I'm out of combat, it will just go over my cursor. Battle res, I think that's just MRT, which is nice for when you're raiding or raid leading. You can just take a look at when your battle res is available. And then same thing for a combat timer. If I get in combat here, you'll see I have it right in the center here. It's kind of nice to have it there. I usually had it like way off to the side. But I kind of like it in the middle of my screen, and that's going to be above my raid frames as well. So I can just see when we are maybe phasing. I'll be able to know if we need to stop DPS or if we're behind. That might be useful there. For nameplates, we have Platynator from the Nator add-on creators, the Auctionator and other Nator type add-ons. Platynator is new. It's nice. It's a little bit more simple than Plator, which used to be used and still is used. It's still good, but Platynator is quite nice. You can find where different things show up. I use the Jundi's profile, which I'll link the import string there, and you can just import that profile there. For hiding the action bars, I just use Conceal, which hides them in combat and out of combat. So out of combat, I just hover over them. There's some settings to like fade in and out. I just hover over and I can just bind my keys, whatever. And in combat, they are just hidden completely. So I just have my nice action bars here from ArcUI using the cooldown manager.